Thank you.
Do you live in our area?
No, we do for family reunion, and we'll be leaving tomorrow. Going back to Arkansas.
Where?
Arkansas. It is. He is. She is. Yeah, okay. It's good to be here. Thank you. Herman Buck, Terry Quinn, Jamila Quinn.
Nice to meet you.
I tell her,
Okay.
All right, good morning. It's time to get started. This morning we're going to continue our study in Leviticus chapter 25. Leviticus chapter 25, there's a couple of things that we've been talking about thus far. We talked about what happens every 7 years, what happens on the 50th year, that of the Sabbath year, and also the year of Jubilee. And Lord willing, we're gonna wrap up chapter 25. We're getting very close to being done with this book. Just got a couple more chapters left after this one. Brother Mick, would you mind opening us up with a word of prayer, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, Lord our God, you are King of the universe, creator of the heavens and the earth. We thank you for this opportunity this morning that you have woken us up, that you have given us life again, that you provide for us and everything that we have. We're grateful for these blessings and these opportunities that we have to recognize your grace, your mercy, your provision, your love, and your care for your people. Father, we thank you for all of these things and for your word which guides us. Father, this morning we pray that you help us to absorb and to meditate on your word, to help bring us understanding, to help us edify one another, to live in accordance with your statutes and your will, to bring glory to your name, and to live righteously and to pursue your perfection, to pursue your will in this life for that day of approval. Father, we pray these things in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, so so just to get us caught back up to where we left off last week, let's take a look at verse 8. At verse 8 of chapter 25, the text reads, "You are to also count off 7 Sabbaths of years for yourselves, 7 times 7 years, so that you have the time of 7 Sabbaths of years, namely 49 years. You shall then sound a ram's horn abroad on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of atonement you shall sound a horn through all your land. You shall thus consecrate the 50th year and proclaim a release through the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. And each of you shall return to his own property, and each of you shall return to his family. You shall have the 50th year as a jubilee. You shall not sow, nor reap its aftergrowth, nor gather in from its untrimmed vines, for it is a jubilee. It is a holy year to you. And you shall eat its crops out of its field." So on this announcement of this jubilee, what did this time signal for this year? The 50th year, after counting off these 7 Sabbath years.
Jubilee. Is that what you mean?
That's right. That's right. Well, what in particular did it signal? Go ahead, Nick.
If I'm remembering correctly, it's the bring back to its original state, to bring the owners back to their land,
Yes.
setting them back as a holy convocation. I think you used the example of a family reunion. last
Yeah.
time.
I like that thought of the family reunion. Right. Everyone is. It is a time of release and a pronouncement of freedom. We're going to talk some more about that. Sister Katie. Okay. I'm sorry, Deb. I missed you. Okay. All right. So in verse 13, on this year of Jubilee, each of you shall return to his own property. If you make a sale, moreover, to your friend, or buy from your friend's hand, you shall not wrong one another. Corresponding to the numbers of years after the Jubilee, you shall buy from your friend. He is to sell to you according to the number of years of crops. In proportion to the extent of the years, you shall increase its price, and in proportion to the fewness of years, you shall diminish its price. For it is a number of crops he is selling to you. So you shall not wrong one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am the Lord your God. So in these verses 13 through 17, what is the overall principle that we find here? Go ahead, Eric.
I would say prorating.
Prorating. I like that. Prorating. Why prorating? What are we talking about here? We're talking about the sale of land. Okay? I hope that all this is coming back to us, all this conversation that we had. The prorated sale of land. Why was the sale of the land prorated? What's going to happen every 50th year?
It's going to go back to zero because that's ground zero,
Mhm.
and therefore everything is adjusted according to that. So therefore prorated.
Because why?
Because
Where's the land going?
back to the original
Is any sale in all of their land, in all the promised land, is any sale by the Israelites, is it permanent? It's not.
No.
It's not. It's not even a lease to own. If you were to think about it, it's basically a lease. A lease for what? Just to have the property
For use.
to live on? Go ahead, Nick.
Crops.
For the crops.
Like essentially crop sharing.
That's right. That's right. So all of these commandments, since how the land ultimately is going to go back to its owner, you have to not cheat one another. The sale of the land is going to be based on the number of years until the Jubilee year, when the land is going to be returned to its original owner. Sister Cassie.
What happens if like the original landowner dies? Does this go to like the next of kin, or?
Yes, it stays within the family. All of these lands are divided into tribes, into tribes and families, and that is their homeland. And again, when the sale of this land happens after the Jubilee year, it goes back to its original owner. Not only does it go back to its original owner, all of the members of that tribe and of that family go home. They go home to that place. We talked last week about kind of like a national reset.
And
All right.
also, if Israel had followed those instructions faithfully, they would have been a country or a land of, they wouldn't have had any poverty.
Right.
Permanent poverty.
No. Okay, we talked about the benefit, the national benefit of having this Jubilee, this period of release. What sort of benefits do you think would occur here within all of Israel?
All those debts are released also,
That's right.
and people go back to their original families and clans and take care of each other.
Yeah. And this is not just a matter of fairness. I mean, certainly a principle here for the Israelites to learn is that the land that they have, it all belongs to God anyway, right? And this is God's commandments on what He wants done with the land. No permanent sales of the land. and the Israelites go back to their homeland. Go ahead.
I think we can look at it being the same principle today. The money that we make, it's God's gift to us. It's God's money, and we're just managers of it. And they were just managers of that property. They were not real owners. God was the real owner.
And plus, one of the benefits, and we talked this a little bit last week, this prevents monopolies, family monopolies of land ownership within Israel as well. I had another question that just slipped my mind. Okay, all right, well, maybe it'll come back to me.
Well, we know
I
Israel
think-
didn't follow it.
I spent some time looking at that because any evidence of the Israelites observing Jubilee is rather scant. I read some writings of Jewish rabbis, wondering, well, how is it that the year of Jubilee is practiced among Jews today? Well, what is the commandment concerning Israel? All right, everybody is to go back to their homelands, is to go back to their families. And there's a lot of Jewish commenters that have said, well, after the fall of the northern kingdom, there was the practice of the Jubilee year kind of went to the wayside, because what happened when Israel fell to the Assyrians? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, when you're taking over, they generally destroy everything, including all the documentation of who owns what. And
That's right.
even people that wipe out entire families and tribes.
Yeah, you talk about the lost 10 tribes. Lost 10 tribes. After the fall of the northern kingdom, how can the Israelites go back to their own properties? How can they can't observe it. They can't observe it, and they see the practice of observing the year of Jubilee, much like how the Jews were, during the Babylonian captivity. During the 70 years of their captivity, how could they practice all the sacrifices that God required? The temple's gone. It was destroyed, and thus along with the sacrifice, it's almost like a captivity period, in which the Israelites they couldn't observe the Jubilee, because they don't have the land anymore in order to go back to. Go ahead, Imam.
Didn't it have, or would it have had a lot to do with their choosing to have kings?
It could. Well, we're gonna see in these upcoming verses, why obedience is so important. In particular, the observance of what God says to do, on these Sabbaths, these weekly Sabbaths, these annual Sabbaths, these 50-year Sabbaths. Let's take a look at verse 18. In verse 18, this section is going to talk about some commands and promises here. In verse 18 says, "You shall thus observe my statutes and keep my judgments, so as to carry them out, that you may live securely on the land. Then the land will yield its produce, so that you will eat your fill and live securely on it. But if you say, 'What are we going to eat on the 7th year if we do not sow or gather in our crops?' Then I will so order my blessings for you in the 6th year, that it will bring forth a crop for 3 years. When you are sowing the 8th year, you can still eat old things from the crop, eating the old until the 9th year, when the crop comes in." All right. So here we have it in verse 18. God's command to obey. You know, the Lord tells Israel, you know, do my statutes, keep my judgments, and perform them. And specifically the laws about the Sabbath year and the Jubilee. So why was obedience so important? Why was it so important? And I think the results here of obedience are shown in these verses. Go ahead, Katie.
If they do it as God commanded them to, He will provide for them what they need. The land would provide for them, and they would not be without.
Yeah. Moreover, they're able to live securely on it. Okay? When the Israelites fell to the Assyrians, you know, the Jews of the southern kingdom fell to the Babylonians. I mean, what does this say about their obedience?
They weren't.
It seems to me. It seems to me maybe we have such scant evidence of these things being observed because the Israelites, they weren't being that obedient the way God says to do. Because God says if you keep my commandments and you obey them, what am I going to do for you? I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to bless you abundantly. He says, if you say, what are we going to eat on the 7th year if we do not sow or gather in our crops? So remember that the 7th year is supposed to be what? It's supposed to be a Sabbath year, right? And right. So what are the Israelites not supposed to do during this Sabbath year?
Gather crops.
That's right. That's right. So they say, well, what are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? And so God is saying, if you obey me, if you keep my commandments concerning these things, what am I going to do for you? What is God going to do for them on the 6th year?
Make enough harvest for 3 years.
Make enough harvest for 3 years. I thought that was interesting. He didn't say, I'm gonna provide for you enough to carry you through the next year. And then after that, you're gonna have to, work really hard to catch back up. No. He said, I'm gonna give you such a bumper crop on the 6th year that it's gonna last you for 3 years. On into the periods where you don't have the Sabbath period. So what does that say about, we hear a lot today about the idea about food insecurity. A lot of people, they don't know where the next meal is going to come from, right? They may be taken care of for the moment, but are they going to be taken care of tomorrow or the next week or the next month, right? But what is God saying about their security concerning His provisions? He is going to give them more than enough concerning blessings. Their cup runs over. So why was obedience so important? Obedience was important if they wanted to be blessed by God. Moreover, another reason why obedience is so important is the fact that, let me ask you a question. Is there an option for the Israelites? Is obedience an optional thing?
It is. Just like it is today. But if we choose the wrong option, we will suffer the consequences.
That's right. That's right. And as we get into the next chapter, we're getting toward the end of this study here. As we get to the next chapter, we're going to be talking a lot about that concerning the blessings for obedience and the curses. And I think that is interesting concerning the blessings. There's far fewer verses that talk about the blessings than there is of the curses that will come about if the Israelites fail to obey. Go ahead, Katie.
This is on the subject, but I wanted to look at verse 21 and 22 again when it says that He will have the fields will produce enough for 3 years.
Yep.
And that you eat the old until the 9th year. It wasn't all right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I didn't think of it until you just mentioned it.
Well, it occurred to me last night because, I know people that, we have so much stuff added to our foods today that makes it last.
That's right.
But I know people that will not touch anything if it's past that expiration date. But there's things that, canned goods will last for years.
Yeah.
as long as there's no holes or anything in them. But these people, they didn't have these preserves and such, but God was going to
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even consider that.
yeah.
That's like, I mean, not only are they going to be provided well beyond their needs. It appears that what God does provide is going to be miraculously preserved for them for years to come.
Well, and I'm
I
sure
think
they
that's
had
really
systems
interesting.
I'm sure they had ways of preserving food for a certain amount of time.
But for 3 years,
But, right, but for
and
fresh, harvested, no preservatives added,
sure,
and it's gonna last.
sure. Go ahead, Mom.
They could dry, I know my mother used to dry apples and dry beans, even green beans she would dry. And boy, they were good when they were prepared the next winter.
Yeah. Did you keep it for 3 years?
Sure,
You did? Okay.
dried ones do,
All right.
and your honey keeps.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Honey is actually the one food that doesn't have an expiration to it at all. You know, I read that they discovered honey in tombs of pharaohs in Egypt. That's still edible. Honey, that's one of the interesting things about honey. Honey does not go bad.
I don't think I'd want any.
I wouldn't either, but I just think that's important. Everything's just fact. All right, so we talked a bit about what God promised as a result of obedience. So what do you think is the principle here in these verses?
Obedience.
Obedience. What about it?
He said trust.
What's that?
It was almost an if there. You do this and I'll do that.
Okay, here's another thing that I was thinking about. Another principle that we found in these verses. What God is saying is, I want you to trust me. I want you to trust me enough that I'm going to take care of you, that you obey me. And even today, when it comes to obedience, could it be that it's just a lack of trust in God, that if you do what's right, that God is going to take care of you through the end. Could be, all right. I think that's a really good principle to think about here. The importance of obedience. God has expected obedience out of His people from the very beginning. So let's continue to verse 23. In verse 23, this section here is going to be talking about the selling of land, and we already talked about this in detail. When we're talking about the selling of land, we're not talking about the selling of land on a permanent basis. We're talking about the leasing of it. In fact, in verse 23, the land, moreover, shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine. For you are but aliens and sojourners with me. For every piece of your property, you are to provide for the redemption of the land. If a fellow countryman of yours becomes so poor, he has to sell part of his property. Then his nearest kinsman is to come and buy back what his relative has sold. Or in case a man has no kinsman, but so recovers his means as to find sufficient for its redemption, then he shall calculate the year since its sale and refund the balance to the man to whom he sold it, and so return to his property. But if he has not found sufficient means to get it back for himself, then what he has sold shall remain in the hands of its purchaser until the year of Jubilee. But at the Jubilee it shall revert, that he may return to his property. So what was the reason that the land wasn't to be sold permanently? Mom?
Perhaps God wanted to keep them from getting greedy and materialistic. He kept the land because if you're managing the land, instead of owning it, if you're managing it for God, you're more apt to be generous with it.
Yeah, what a great perspective.
than if you think of it as your own, you're gonna hold on to it and maybe
This is mine, I'm gonna do what I want, when I want.
that
However
holding
I
on
want.
to the land's more important than
Yeah.
obeying God.
Yeah. So how were the Israelites to see themselves concerning the property that they have? Go ahead, Mick.
Strangers, sojourners.
As strangers, sojourners, as like aliens in a foreign land, passers through. Ultimately, that's what we all are when it comes to anything that we own, right? So this was a good reminder for the Israelites. You know why it is that they weren't that land was not to be sold permanently. In fact, what it seems to me is when we're reading these passages that even the leasing of the land, the selling, that is the leasing of the land, it was allowed, but it was discouraged. In what cases was it allowed, though?
Well, if someone is poor,
Yeah, so what was to be done if somebody was so poor that he had to sell his property?
it's
It's
painful.
really-
Again, going back to this idea that every 50th year is going to go back to the owner, so that sale is going to be based upon the extent of time until the Jubilee. But what was to be done if somebody was so poor that he had to sell his property?
His relatives could buy it, could redeem it for him.
His relatives could redeem it for him. Okay? All right? Why? Again, it just seems to me that even the leasing of the land, the temporary sale of the land is being discouraged. God is keeping this land within what the families. So if there's a situation where the family couldn't buy back the land or redeem it, it's going to be kept by the person who sold it or it's going to be kept by the person who bought it until the year of Jubilee. What does it say about family responsibility toward one another? When it comes to poverty, how is God addressing poverty here?
If you know, if an Israelite becomes poor, you help them, period.
Whose responsibility is it to do that?
Family first.
It is the family's responsibility. It's a,
But if
it,
he doesn't have
this is, I think
family,
this is a practice that we've gotten away from. What's that?
no family, you help them.
Right. All right. So if an individual doesn't have family, or the family doesn't have the means to help an individual, right? There's a system in place in order to make sure that Israelite doesn't starve. There's provisions. God is giving provisions. But where does the responsibility lie first? Within the family. Go ahead, Kate.
That reminds me of the teachings in the New Testament of the difference between a widow and a widow indeed.
That's right.
The family is to provide for the widow.
Family first.
It's in the family. And if there is no family to provide for the widow, then the church can.
Yeah, and I think in our society we've just got everything backwards, right? It's if somebody is having trouble with their means and trouble providing for themselves, what do? We look to our society, our government institutions to jump in and take care of everything, and whatever the government institutions can't take care of, then the family jumps in and sees what they can do, right?
Well, in the
It's family first. Go ahead.
some families want to, they will hold it over your head. Well, I did this for you, and I did that for you. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And it's
That-
like, we're giving this to you and we're helping you, but we're not gonna be happy about it.
And they may or may not be happy about it, but either way,
Back here, that was where the bubble.
either way, in verse 25, it is a commandment of God that the family is to do it. They may or may not like it, but nevertheless, it is something that God commands. Go ahead, Janice.
Two thoughts. One thought is that in some cultures it is still like this. They take care of their family. American culture is more individualized. We, feel like we go and then we have our own stuff. It's weird for other people that's outside the immediate nucleus to live in their house. It's just, but other cultures is different. And I also want to make a comment on the land and the giving and the taking back. Yes, it is to help make sure that poverty is not prevalent in Israel, but it's also God's promise that in the beginning, when they entered, God allotted them land. And if He allowed people to be buying off land, then the promise that He gave each tribe their land, it would be nothing. Somebody get poor, you buy the land and that's it, but God promised them that land, so He made a way for them to.
And you know what this prevented? It prevented permanent loss of inheritance.
Right.
It prevented permanent loss of inheritance, and it kept the land within the family tribe that God originally assigned this land to. Go ahead, Eric.
Yes, to Janice's point, if I get back up to verse 23, the land must not be sold permanently because the land is mine and you reside in my land. That's the language of a king. God's original design for the land of Canaan is, I will be your king. And then they didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
They wanted to be like everyone round about them. And that started the drip, drip, drip of, marrying into the other countries.
Yeah, for sure.
And
For
so
sure.
you can imagine as they married into these foreigners that it came about that, well, what's this Jubilee thing? I don't want to do that.
Yeah. All right, so very good. Thank you, Eric. So some key principles from these passages here. One key principles of God's sovereignty, right? The land itself was considered to be a gift from God, and the Israelites, what were they? They were tenants. They were tenants in His covenant. Secondly, second principle we see here, the importance of the institution of family. Family preservation. And of course, all this is to make sure that economic hardship doesn't erase a family's future. And thirdly, we see this idea of grace, the idea of restoration. Jubilee, this Jubilee year was God's built-in plan to restore the things that had been lost. Let's take a look at verse 35. I was really hoping to get to this chapter today. What happened to my slides here? I must have deleted a slide. Okay. All right, let's take a look at verse 29. Likewise, if a man sells a dwelling house in a walled city. Okay, now we're not talking about land here. We're talking about a structure. If a man sells a dwelling house in a walled city, this is different than like farmland, then his redemption right remains valid until a full year from its sale. His right of redemption lasts a full year. But if it's not bought back for him within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city passes permanently to its purchaser throughout his generation. It does not revert in the Jubilee. Okay, so now what we're seeing here is an exception. The houses of the villages, however, which have no surrounding wall, shall be considered as open fields. They have redemption rights and revert into Jubilee. As for the cities of the Levites have a permanent right of redemption for the houses of the cities which are their possession. What therefore belongs to the Levites may be redeemed, and a house sale in the city of this possession reverts into Jubilee. For the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the sons of Israel. But pasture fields of their cities shall not be sold, for that is their perpetual possession. So what is the law concerning houses sold? We're talking about structures now. Houses sold within walled cities. Right. So if you sell it, you have a year to redeem it.
Not 50 or 49.
Right. So let's. I was thinking. I don't know if this is an exact parallel, but I was thinking about taking your property to a pawn shop. Some of you might have done this when you were young. I need gas money, right? I need gas money. I'm gonna take my keyboard. I'm gonna take it to the pawn shop, and you can sell it. You can sell the thing, or you can get a loan with that whatever property that you bring in as surety with interest. And if you don't pay back that loan within a certain amount of time, what does the pawn shop do? They keep the property, right? They keep the property and they sell it. Okay, so for a year's period of time, if you are so poor that you need to sell your property, you need to sell your home, however it is, you have 1 year period of time to buy it back. This is the law concerning structures within walled cities. This is not land. This is not family land. And of course, if it isn't redeemed, whoever bought it gets to keep it permanently. It doesn't go back during the Jubilee. But what about houses sold in villages? There's a difference here. You got the houses that are sold in walled cities, in structures. Then you got the houses that are in villages. How are they treated?
It's the same as we were discussing before.
The same as open fields, right? Right? So, what do you think the difference is? Go ahead.
The
James.
villages are part of the land.
That's right. That's right. Because in the villages, structure is on a significant piece of property to farm, right? And this farmland belongs to the family. Every 50 years, it's supposed to go back in the Jubilee. Now in these verses here, we also have some special rules concerning Levites. When the Israelites go into the promised land, what portion of the land were given to the Levites, if anybody remembers? It wasn't.
They didn't get any land.
That's right. They were a portion land, but
They got pasture land.
I mean they didn't get land as in kind of like a tribal section, but they got pasture land in the cities throughout where? Throughout all of Israel. Throughout all of Israel. That's right. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think, isn't that the cities of refuge?
Yes, that's right. That's right. So what is the special rule concerning the property that belongs to the Levites?
There's no, they can buy it back anytime.
They can buy it back anytime. Right. For every other property, say for the village properties, you have a year's period of time to buy it back. A Levite can buy back their property at any time. Why? Why do you think that there's special rules concerning the Levites?
Because they didn't have, that was their inheritance. They didn't have, land like the other tribes did. And so those
That was their inheritance. Right. Again, the whole idea is the preservation of the inheritance, right? For all the tribes of Israel, including the Levites. The Levites might say, "Well, I didn't get a section of property. Well, what happens to me during this Jubilee year?" Well, guess what? You know, concerning the things that are given to you, what special function? What's so special about the Levites? What special function do they serve?
They took care of the religious ceremonies.
At least the sons of Aaron. And the descendants of Aaron. Remember, not every priest in the Old Testament was a Levite, but not every Levite was a priest, right? But concerning the Levites, this was their special their special rules. Now we're getting to verse 35, dealing with poverty. Now, in the case a countryman of yours becomes so poor and his means with regard to you falter, then you are to sustain him like a stranger or sojourner, that he may live with you. Do not take usurious interest from him, but revere your God, that your countrymen may live with you. You shall not give him your silver at interest, nor your food for gain. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. So what were the Israelites to do with one who was poor among them?
And treat them as hired people, hired hands.
That's right. That's right. We're going to talk some more about this when it comes to the subject of slavery. Go ahead, Mick.
I think a lot of this is put in place because God is trying to protect the vulnerable. He's trying to prohibit exploiting them.
That's right.
Because they're vulnerable, they have no means to protect themselves in a way. So God is telling them this so that they don't get exploited.
Mm-hmm. And moreover, to support the poor without profit. And I think what you said really points to the guiding principles here in these passages here. Poor people. Poor people always have the highest interest rates, don't they? Why? Well, because lenders see them as high risk borrowers. It could be that they may not pay back your loan, so we're gonna charge them at higher rates. What do they call those? These little storefront shops that you can go to where you can get your payday check early. They call them, what's that?
Payday loan.
A payday loan. Yeah, a payday loan. What's the interest rates on payday loans?
200%.
What's that?
Like 200%.
Who's using these? Poor people, right? You think rich people need to go and get a payday loan? No. Right? So concerning the poor within Israel, what is the law? You are to sustain them such that your motive is not for profit. That's what we have here, The poor, they can go and get that payday loan, but these businesses are there not because they have any sort of altruistic motives. They're there to make a profit. That's their business. But the whole idea is when it comes to the poor and sustaining the poor among them, the Israelites were not to make a business out of it. In fact. It says, you do not take a serious interest from him, but revere your God, that your countrymen may live with you. You shall not give him your silver at interest, nor food for your gain. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. Why do you think verse 38 is there? Why do you think that's mentioned? I am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. We see this theme repeated so many times throughout these verses here. Is there a guiding principle again? Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, because as a nation, God's saying, you were poor and destitute, and I took care of you.
I took care of you, yes. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, if you're to to think about these guiding principles, you know, it's the guiding principle for the Israelites is compassion over exploitation, right? Don't helping the poor was a command. It wasn't a suggestion. And moreover, the whole idea here is remembering God's grace. You be graceful to other people, remembering how I was graceful to you, right? And certainly mercy toward others. That's an outflowing of remembering God's mercy toward them. Okay, well, I think this is a good stopping point here. I was really hoping to get through this chapter, but we should. Oh, I'm sorry, Janice. Go ahead.
It was just a comment. I remember my folks used to always say, don't forget where you came from, no matter how high you go. And this is kind of like what God is saying. Don't forget where you came from. You came from Egypt.
Don't forget
you
your
were
roots,
slaves.
right?
Right.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Any other comments before we close? Nope. Okay. All right. I appreciate everybody's attendance and participation in this. Like I said, I was hoping to get through this. We should be able to, certainly should be able to wrap it up next week and maybe get into chapter 26. Chapter 26.